Welcome to the 10-Day Growth Hacking Challenge with your host, Nader Sabri. Today, we're working with Ibrahim, and he runs a company that does escrow services. Before we get started, let me tell you a bit more about this challenge. It's a 10-day challenge with 3 growth hacks to 10x the size of your business. Well, not necessarily the size, but the growth rate. The way it works is on the growth thinking methodology, which is in the book right here. It teaches you exactly how to do that. That's what we'll be using in the next 10 days. Ibrahim, welcome aboard.
Thanks a lot, Nader. Happy to be here.
So why don't we
for taking time?
Absolutely. No, I mean, and congratulations for being nominated. You had a special nomination, by the way. So for anyone who's listening, he's had a special nomination, which is awesome. For those who are looking for more information before we get started, definitely look below. I'm going to hand it over to Ibrahim, who's going to tell us a little bit more about himself, a little bit more about what he does, and then we're going to stop and then jump into what the growth problem is and the 3 growth hacks that we're going to see in the next 10 days. Ibrahim, over to you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Nader. So my name is Ibrahim Kamalmaz. I'm the founder and CEO of Titanium Escrow. We are pioneers in escrow in the Middle East and Africa. We're actually the first dedicated and regulated escrow company. So essentially what we do is we bring trust to business transactions for things like real estate, for commercial transactions like shipping, for just a wide variety of different use cases. We act as that trusted intermediary. We're licensed and regulated by ADGM, Abu Dhabi Global Markets. So they have a special type of licensing called a custody license. We work with different vendors to make sure that we provide the highest level of trust for any funds that enter our account. It's a unique concept that's, I think, very much needed in this region. I kind of came up with this concept from a personal story. Would you like me to go ahead and share why?
Absolutely,
or how I came up with? Yeah. Great. Let me do it. So I love to go camping, and I love to kind of go out into the desert, into the night sky, and look at the stars. So back in 2016, I bought a modified Land Cruiser. So I met the seller at the RTA, and I paid him in cash, and it was modified. So the original parts were worth like 20,000 dirhams. So he was like, I'll send the parts to you tomorrow. They're in my garage. I'll just have my driver pick them up and send them. So next day comes and the guy just disappears. For weeks, I'm trying to reach him, trying to get those original parts, and I can't get through to the guy. So I got quite frustrated. And working in banking at the time, where we have what's called a MAP account, which is kind of like a standalone account where funds are held before they're released. I was like, why don't people have, why is this not accessible to everybody? The more I looked into it, businesses are still using post-dated checks in the UAE and throughout the region. A post-dated check doesn't guarantee that your money is available. It's just basically an IOU, but when you come to cash it, may or may not be available. And even law firms in the region, they're really, they're hesitant to take on client money or to provide escrow services because of the compliance rules and AML, KYC requirements, and most of the time it's not worth their time. So I came up with this concept, Titanium Escrow, and I've been running with it for a while now, trying to get things moving. And the challenges that I've been facing, Nader, are around awareness. People don't know what escrow is. Some of the people that have heard of escrow, they only know it from a real estate perspective. They don't know how it can be applicable to so many different types of financial transactions. And just kind of that education is quite difficult. Everybody has unique requirements and unique businesses and unique transactions, and just showing them how escrow can really help their business and streamline their transactions. It's been quite challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, escrow is, you're right. Most people do associate it with real estate. And I think many people experience the word escrow for the first time in a real estate transaction and assume that it's the only place that it could be used. But it's a tool that allows for trust to flow between 2 parties with a third one in the middle to actually do that. But that's highly applicable as a service to many things, I think. And we've talked about, B2B and also B2C applications. I think it's important to point out that you be focused purely on B2B and potentially in the future on B2C, because I think B2C, I mean, the example that you gave, which inspired you to do this, is a B2C example, right? And I believe there's just a ton of people. What's really interesting about what you're doing and the business you're in is timing. And it's kind of funny because you're not the first contender that I've identified that they're like in the right place at the right time, but they're not quite, either they haven't picked up on it yet or someone hasn't pointed it out to them. And in your case, it's interesting because we probably have the most distrust that we probably experience in our lives at the moment in the world right now. And anything that can help distill the process of distrust can be very valuable, right? The world isn't going to stop conducting transactions because they don't trust each other. They have to find ways to do it. And the more legitimate, above the table ways to do that, then the better it is. And I think that is a very unique timing in the sense of what you're offering. And I completely agree with you in the sense of awareness, because I think the more people are aware of how to use this tool and how inexpensive it can be, I think the more business you're going to get through the door.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about expensive, I mean, first of all, we're the first private company to offer it locally. Some of the banks, they do offer escrow, but they charge an arm and a leg, and it's really mainly designed for large corporates or kind of big business. So when it comes to, like you're saying, too expensive, it's actually more expensive to get scammed. It's more expensive to get fined by the central bank for, not doing proper KYC and doing proper AML or handling client money in a proper way. It's a very sensitive area. The central bank is looking very aggressively, and they're looking at kind of client money and the flow of funds through a microscope at the moment. And that, you're right, it's all about timing. I mean, we're at the right place at the right time, but people just are hesitant or resistant to change, and it's quite difficult. But it's all part of the hustle, right? I guess educating everyone on how it should be and what the best best course of operation is. Yeah.
Of course, and I think the other thing too is friction. So that's another commonality that I see with a lot of the contenders, and I see that with a lot of my clients as well. We need to lower the friction to close to zero as possible. In fact, if you can make it zero, that's actually the best thing to do. And the lower the friction, then the less risk or perceived risk there is for the client to take on a new product or service. Once they conduct one successful transaction, they're more likely to keep going and going and going as they identify the benefits of doing something like this. So I think that's going to be like probably a few things that we'll touch on through these different growth hacks. So to recap, I mean, what are the top three growth challenges that you have?
So the top three growth challenges, I'd say, are awareness, as we discussed, acquisition of new clients, just kind of acquiring new clients in different segments. I mean, escrow is relevant to so many different sectors, from real estate to law firms, to SPV creation, to project finance, to construction, to buying a car from offshore or buying a large asset internationally. So acquisition and then action. So taking action when we do have that pipeline, when we do have incoming inquiries, to be able to funnel them through the pipeline, have a good onboarding experience, and have the clients enjoy working with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Cool. So awareness is number one, acquisition is number two, and third is onboarding. Is that right?
So third is action, which is part of onboarding, I believe. Yeah.
Onboarding. Okay, fantastic. That is awesome. Okay, so those are the growth challenges we're looking at. And what are the three growth hacks that you plan to execute the next 10 days?
So the first growth hack that I plan to execute is I plan to consolidate the top law firms that are providing escrow services, and kind of rank them to say, okay, this firm is doing, is ranked number one in quantity of escrow transactions and quality. Essentially put together a league table, explaining the different, kind of showcasing the different law firms and how much volume they're currently transacting. The second is, as part of that pipeline and the onboarding process, I've been having a lot of challenges. Clients come to me, they say, we want escrow. I do a lot of the work. We do the KYC, we set up the contracts, and then, nothing comes through. So creating kind of an invoicing in advance system, so that we kind of get a bit of a buy-in from the clients. We get their commitment before we keep moving forward. And then the third is kind of streamlining the onboarding process to make sure that clients have a pleasurable experience, that everything goes smoothly. We kind of handhold them through through our partners. We're able to handhold the clients into our service and get them familiar with us.
Fantastic. So one of the things that I want to challenge you on as well, and this is purely out of curiosity, and it'll be an interesting sort of sub-experiment, is to do some keyword research in the geography that you cover with the direct word escrow and then escrow related keywords, just to get a sense of the volume of searches online and potentially how much people are willing to pay to get that traffic. That's a very clear indicator for you about kind of the competitive environment. So what it does is it tells you how many people are looking for in the sense of demand, that's the volume, and how much people are willing to buy that keyword, which gives us kind of the supply, who's willing to acquire that demand. Now, although we may not do much with those keywords in the sense of actually using them, I think they're going to be an excellent indicator for you in the sense of kind of escrow services in the UAE. And I would use other kinds of keywords that somebody would use, because escrow is actually a technical term. People may, when people search, they don't actually use technical terms unless they actually know it. So it could be like, where do I hold my money in the middle, or can my lawyer help hold my money? I mean, you have to think of ways, or how do I conduct a safe transaction, or how do I trust the person I'm buying from? Like, so there could be some, like, you look at things that are obviously direct, like escrow, and then other alternative names that are direct to escrow, and then indirect terms, just to get a sense of like the search volume. It'll be very interesting for us to see. With a lot of other contenders, we run kind of micro hacks as we go along, and these micro hacks give us either indicators into the bigger hacks, or sometimes they become their own hack. We'll talk more about those in the future with some of the other contenders. In your particular case, I would just run it tonight to get a sense of kind of keyword volume and what would be like the CPC, which is basically what somebody would be willing to pay to acquire that traffic. It'll be very interesting to know, just as a rough indicator. But other than that, I think that's pretty good. I think that I'm really excited about your B2C side when you get there eventually, because the volume of transactions that happen there are going to be dramatically higher, but with less complex transactions. Because in the nature of your business, I genuinely believe that there's a direct correlation between complexity of transaction and the success of the transaction. And so if you're in low friction, high impact areas, which you need to figure out, your success rate will highly go up. Although more complicated transactions may require escrow in a more demanding way, but it may take longer and it might be more costly to execute that, in the sense of your cost to do that. I'm not really sure. It's best to find low friction, high impact. And one of the challenges I see with a lot of my contenders and clients, when I say low friction, high impact, I say low friction, high impact, not low friction and highest impact. There's a difference between highest and high. What happens, a lot of people get confused when they hear that and they go for the highest impact but lowest friction. What happens is the friction goes up as you try to get to the highest impact. What we want is we want a base that's so easy to enter, because what we're looking to do is to build volume to scale, right? And so we want as close to zero, if not zero friction, with the highest impact possible. So that's an equation I'll leave with you, obviously, to figure out. We've discussed it in general, and it will work its way into these hacks one way or the other, whether it would be with the rank or the second hack was, there was the rank. Customer acquisition is going to definitely be a large impact on that. And then onboarding, you'll onboard people differently on the basis of how complex a transaction could be, because you have to deal with it in different ways. But you'll figure that out later on. We'll get the initial hacks in place, and then we'll go from there. We're good.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Low friction, high impact. I like that concept. I think that's definitely what I need. And I think one of kind of the challenges that I've had is escrow again can be used for such a wide variety of things. So really focusing on a specific use case is challenging, because I see opportunity everywhere. And at the end of the day, my actual process is the same. It's just about how I onboard clients, how I do my marketing, how I acquire my clients. That's really what changes, showing them how and why they need escrow. But at the end of the day, it's the same core mechanism at the center of the transaction.
Which is brilliant, and that makes you way more scalable. When you do those keyword searches, do escrow plus real estate or escrow plus whatever it is, and get a sense of the segments by volume, and you'll start getting an idea where the demand is based on just keyword searches on that basis, to understand where people who really understand escrow, without you educating them, what are they searching for? What are they searching escrow for, right? So escrow for, and then in whatever it is, escrow for real estate, escrow for buying a car, escrow for investing in a company, escrow for whatever it is. And there are different tools out there. So the most used one is the Google Keyword Planner. But there are other tools out there like Uber Suggest, which is by Neil Patel. you can just type in Uber suggest and it can give you some of that detail. So you don't need any fancy tools or techniques to figure out. There are a lot of tools out there that are free, if not very low cost, but you'll be able to figure this one out mostly for free. It'll give you an idea what that looks like. So yeah, man. There we go. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm very excited because I see a lot of opportunity. It's just about hitting the market in the right way. It's about strategy. Because I think I have this fantastic product that's, the market needs a solution like this. It's been proven in other markets. It's something that's quite important. It's just about the go-to market strategy and acquiring the first clients, and acquiring the the correct kind of branding and positioning within the market. That's I think going to be critical.
100%, man. Low friction, high impact. That's how we're going to do that. Okay. Anything else you want to share before we kick off the challenge?
Nope. Let's get it started. Let's yeah.
Perfect. That's the way I like it. Time to take some action.
Yeah.
As we come to a close, guys, this is based on the growth thinking methodology in the book here. For those who are interested to learn more, definitely check it out. For those who want to know more about Ibrahim and his services, look below. You'll get all his information. We'll be able to get in touch with him to learn more, find out what it's like to use or actually to use his services. We'll see you in the next video, which is hack number 1. Hack number 1 is going to be about solving the problem with awareness. And we have an interesting hack related to that that deals with ranking. So we'll see you in the next video. Good luck, Ibrahim. We'll see you in hack number 1. Take care.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye-bye.